So I'm sitting here, we're at a commercial break right now, but we're just about to get to Julie's interview with Kyle, which I know a lot of people are looking forward to. So I'm just going to give a kind of live reaction, and then I'm going to give a recap of this episode because there's a lot to unpack.
There's never been a better time.
Thus far, like an early synopsis of what's been happening is that they did give us some of the pieces and elements that we were missing. Obviously, it was a dramatized, chopped up, and almost movie-like version of the events. But, you know, I am really glad to kind of wrap this saga up because it was really dragging. And get some of those missing pieces. I have a lot of notes, and I don't really want to get into that until I get into my full recap. But I'm just going to say, thus far, I'm pretty satisfied with how the episode went. It didn't necessarily make up for all the live feeds that were cut, but, you know, it is what it is. CBS did what they felt like they had to do. Okay, we're coming back. I don't think Julie's gonna go in, to be honest. I think CBS probably talked to her about that, so we'll see.
Welcome back to Big Brother. I'm sitting here with Kyle, who was just evicted by a vote of 5-0. Kyle, we clearly have a lot to talk about. Tonight, sitting here with me comes as no surprise to you. It's been an emotional week for everyone. How are you feeling right now?
Man, it was a very, very tough week, but honestly, I'm feeling so grateful to have this experience with all these amazing people. They shared so much love and compassion for someone as flawed as I am. Like, I just feel so grateful to have had this experience and to have it with these house guests.
Earlier in the game, you had a conversation with Michael saying that you thought there could be an alliance in the house trying to do what the Cookout did last year. Essentially being made up of all people of color working together in a secret alliance. And you proposed to Michael that you and he, plus Turner, Alyssa, and Brittany, could work together in a secret alliance. Did you consider how that might be perceived by your housemates?
As terrible as it sounded at the time, it didn't click in my mind. And after looking back in the multiple conversations with Michael and Brittany and the multiple conversations this week, I now realize how terrible that was, and I should have realized it from the start, and I apologize to everyone watching and everyone in the house.
When you brought up this suspicion you had to Brittany in the bathroom, she said, this is a quote, "We just can't assume that that would be the case." After that discussion, did the idea of this secret alliance possibly existing affect your strategy in the game? Did it weigh on you?
At the time, it's hard to describe how I was feeling because there's so many different variables that were going on, and I think one of the themes that Terrence and I talked about was just the fact that I was overthinking everything, so that probably did weigh into some of my decision making, unfortunately, but I also had some very close relationships with Turner, Alyssa, Michael, and Brittany that kind of spurred that hope in working together, and unfortunately, yes, I think it did play into some of that consideration, unfortunately.
When the split house twist happened, you made a bold move by outing the leftover alliance and turning your back on your ally, Joseph.
Yeah.
Did targeting Joseph have anything to do with, again, maybe you thought that he was in this secret alliance that was only made up of people of color?
So no, at that point, I thought that Monty's relationship with Joseph was very tight, and I suspected that Joseph's relationship with Taylor was very tight as well. Going into the split house, I felt like I was on the outs of the leftovers. I was being left out of multiple decisions on who the target should be each week, and then I was put in a position where I would have to use the veto to backdoor Alyssa, which I didn't feel comfortable with. And so at that point, going into the split house, I just felt that, the leftovers were, I was kind of on the outs of the leftovers, and at that point, Joseph and I had very similar cards to play and information, and I just decided I would rather play that card first before I had to play catch up there.
You You played a hard-charging game. The beginning, you were part of PostPac.
Yeah.
You turned your back on them to be part of the Pound. That expanded to involve more people called the Leftovers. You blew that up during the Split House twist for the after party. How much of this had to do with all to protect Alyssa?
There definitely was a component, especially late game, where I just wanted to work with her, and the Split House left me feeling ostracized from the Leftovers, and the Split House gave me an opportunity to start fresh with Alyssa and Terrence, and the after party was formed, and honestly I felt so happy to be able to finally work and be honest with Alyssa. And unfortunately that was short-lived, but yeah, that definitely was something that I was very excited for.
We're going to continue this conversation after the show. We have a lot more to get to. So to see my extended interview with Kyle on Big Brother's official Instagram page at Big Brother CBS tomorrow. Up next, I have a big announcement for you at home, America. Then the head of household competition kicks off live. Stay with us.
So, to be honest with you, it was a medium temperature interview, just like I expected. The questions that she asked were questions that he already answered for hours and hours in the house, so there was nothing really more that I expected her to say. He answered them in ways that I expected, but yeah, that's my instant reaction to that, and I'm going to get on to the recap. So, here we are. The Kyle saga is finally over. It's concluded. He was evicted from the house as was expected. In terms of how they produced the episode, it wasn't that bad. You know, they did include some things that we didn't see. I mean, that's not that hard to do because we didn't see much. But there was a few things that I saw from the footage. There was a few things that they put in there that was not in the footage. But I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to jump into my notes. So, this episode begins with Kyle confronting Brittany. And he did it rather aggressively. To where he was like, what are you saying about me, a white alliance? And wanted to target the Cookout 2.0 and all that stuff. And he denied it. She was like, you said that stuff, and he basically denied it at first. He was like, I didn't say that. And then he was like, or if I did, I don't remember saying it, which is totally different from saying I didn't say it. But of course, this is the first time he's hearing it. So she's telling him, you know, I don't believe that you're a bad person, but I can't deny that there's biases going on in what you said. And me and Michael basically both felt the same way. So he was just like, you know, why didn't you confront me, or why didn't you talk to me before you went around and told the house? And honestly, to me, that part is a valid point. I know that they had a justification that they created in their minds where it's like, I have to go talk to Taylor and Monty first or whatever before I go around and tell everybody. But I believe that the reason why they did it at that point in time was a gameplay reason to protect Taylor and to protect Monty in a way from being the replacement nom, and to make sure that replacement nom was Kyle, and that Kyle was going home, which they succeeded in doing. So, after Kyle kind of admits to Brittany that, yes, there was something wrong with what he said, I know that this is super edited and chopped up as well, because I know there had to be way more to the conversation before he got to that conclusion. He flat out says, do you think I'm racist? And she says, no. I think that you didn't even realize the things that you were saying, which points to what I was saying in my previous video, with which some people disagreed with, but that's still my opinion. There was more prejudice and subconscious bias going on than racism. As somebody pointed out to me in the comments, racism is such a huge umbrella that you can put so many things under there. But, there's a difference between somebody who is committed to hate versus somebody who does not even realize their position of privilege, nor where their type of comments are coming from based on their cultural experience. Let's not confuse the two, please. So, after this conversation with Brittany, it goes on to show him talking to Monty and Terrence. This is a part that I was trying to see on those feeds, but they kept cutting and cutting. At this point, I could probably name every cat and dog in the feed, and the "We'll Be Right Back" music plays in my head when I go to sleep. Dun, 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 dun. Anyways, this was a more emotional conversation than I even thought it was. I did see the part with Monty crying and all that, but I didn't see Terrence's response. This is my first time seeing that. So he explained his reason. I didn't write that part down, but I know that he said Taylor and Joseph were close. He talked about Taylor talking about not wanting to put up a black woman, whatever he said. He was connecting dots that were not really connecting. And it sounded like as he was speaking it out loud, he started to realize more and more how ridiculous it sounded. Because there was no reason, especially at the point of the game when he said it to Michael and Brittany, to believe that there was actually a Cookout 2.0 situation going on. Monty was really upset. Monty and Terrence were both brought to tears. Now, I connected with Monty's especially because I think I'm skipping ahead a little bit. So I'm gonna go to what Terrence said. Terrence cried and basically said that he was manipulated and fooled into sending Joseph home. And he was like, I'm gonna be honest here. You should have been the one who went home, not Joseph. And I don't think any of us saw that because all we've been seeing online is people saying that Terrence was campaigning to keep Kyle. And he probably came to that conclusion after the dust had settled. But in the moment when he first had that conversation with Kyle, he said, you should have been the one that was sent home, right? So Monty was just like, my only problem with you wanting to send me home, my one and only problem was that it was race-based. And he said that it brought him back to when he went to this prep school in high school, where it was a white school, and he tried to make friends in that school, and there was always issues with those friends. And those issues were because of race. It was always because of race. So he said when he went to college, he kind of distanced himself from other races and stuck with his comfort zone, which was black people. So I feel like what he was saying here, and he might have even said it somewhere in this cut footage, he might have even said that he had a hard time trusting white people. And I think that based on all the footage that I've been watching, he and Kyle were up every night. They were always talking. They were always at the pool table. They were laughing together. They were sharing stories. So I think that Kyle was really becoming a friend to him, a good friend to him. And he was just really taken aback by the fact that he connected these dots, and he was one of his targets when he thought that that was one of his allies and friends. And that was one of the first times, and maybe the only time, that I've seen Monty like out of game character. So you could visibly see how hurt and upset that both Monty and Terrence were in this moment. This was not a moment where they were offering too much sympathy. They were like, thank you for taking the step to talk to us, but at that moment it wasn't just like, we instantly forgive you type of thing. So the next thing that happens is that Turner is talking to Terrence and Monty, and Turner is just like, you know what, let's have this sit down conversation with everyone. Do you guys think that would be beneficial? And the answer was like, yeah, let's do that. So Terrence is like, yeah, let's have this family meeting. And I think I forgot to mention, Kyle also apologized to Turner. He apologized to everybody. It's just that I have all this stuff on my page already, so I'm not really rehashing all these different parts. I'm kind of just going off of the parts that I have not seen. So when we get into this family meeting, he goes back into his explanation and he talks about, thinking that they all had a common reason for being there, working together, whatever. He goes back through that. So Terrence has something else on his mind, which was probably on everyone else's mind as well. Terrence asks why Michael and Brittany waited until this time to say it instead of saying it 2 weeks ago when it happened. And he was like, yes, Kyle is effed up for what he said, but y'all too have some accountability as well. Right before that part, I don't have this in my notes, I forgot to say this. Kyle was kind of saying that Michael and Brittany should have made a bigger effort to make it known that what he was saying was wrong. And then Michael was just like, hey, listen, you're the one who said all that stuff, not me. I'm not taking accountability for what you said. So then Terrence, I feel like, kind of jumped in for his defense. And that's when he was saying all that stuff about you guys should have said something sooner if this wasn't for game reasons. Again, which is very valid. So Brittany is like crying and apologizing. Michael didn't seem quite as apologetic. He was just kind of maintaining his stance of like, I'm sorry that I didn't know how to handle it, and this could impact my game negatively, but I don't care. I felt that this was more important than game. But I really do feel like it's not just that they should have gone around and told the whole house. I do think that they should have spoken to him. I know that Brittany keeps harping on this conversation she had with him, but I think the two of them, if they both felt that way at that time, should have had to sit down with him and explain to him, this is how what you're saying is coming across. I think that it's wrong. And then let him go from there. It might not have even been necessary to tell the whole house, or it might have. Who knows how it would have played out. But I just think that obviously they did it as a game move, but I think that the reactions of the people in the house made it easier for them to justify it as something more than a game move. So after they had this meeting, Kyle kind of sets the stage by saying thanking everybody for being open to listening to him, loving him, forgiving him, and whatever. And he's like, I want to have conversations with all of you where we can talk through everything that happened. We go into the Alyssa breakup, which I also have on my page, but they showed little tiny snippets of it where she said, I don't want to leave this house in a relationship. Conveniently, they didn't show the parts of them hooking up after she said that, but hey, it's Big Brother production. Anyways, it shows him, apologizing to Monty in their individual conversation, and Monty was very torn up about it. I realized that I actually talked about Monty's reaction. Monty's individual reaction was what I had said earlier in the one with Terrence. He didn't say all that in that conversation. He said it in this one. So I'm not going to rehash that. I'm just going to say I appreciate Monty a lot. I appreciate Monty for being a black man who's willing to be vulnerable, to shed some tears on national television, to show when he's hurt, to articulate himself properly, because Lord knows when the guy said, you should punch me in the face, that would make me feel better. If he punched him in the face, this whole thing becomes the Monty is Gangsta show instead of the Kyle is Wrong show. So black people and showing emotions is just not usually well received, but Monty is such a good representation for us. I admire the man. I really do, and that's another person that I hope that after he comes out of the house, I get the opportunity to interview on my channel. And I'm just putting those things out there in the air. Monty and Taylor would be two top people that I would like to talk to this season. I would really like to talk to most everybody, but that would be the top two on my wish list. So towards the end, it shows Monty talking to Taylor and basically saying, like, if we get a chance to take out Michael next week, we have to take it. Because if not, the man is going to win the whole game. And I feel like Taylor essentially said, we are on the same page. So I know there's not really an end to this discussion. It's endless. There's hundreds of comments on my videos. There's hundreds and thousands of comments on other videos on the web about this. There's articles. But this is basically the end of my commentary on it for now. So I just want to be a little bit thorough. I was listening to Tiffany's podcast, The Winner's Circle. Well, it's not Tiffany's podcast, but now she does a branch of The Winner's Circle with Cody and Derek. And she has her own show that she does 2 days a week. And I was listening to her talk about this exact topic of Kyle. And I got a couple of sound bites that I wanted to play that I thought were relevant and, especially according to what I've been saying. So here they go.
Than being racist, I do think that Kyle has been prejudiced in his decisions because of his lack of experience. And I wanted to give the definition of prejudice, which is the preconceived opinion that is not based on reason or actual experience. I got that from Webster, and I think that more accurately states how he has been thinking about the people in this game. He is a little prejudiced because it is a preconceived opinion. He has said himself that he's grown up in Utah. He's not really exposed to diversity, but he did speak about military experience and being exposed to diversity, but coming right back home to Utah and to his mom's house. And I think he just does not have that experience. I don't have experience with, there are certain cultures I don't have experience with. And if I'm in my family or with my friend group or in my upbringing, I've been taught that, or I've heard that this is how other people live, then I don't know that, and I don't know any different, then I don't know that they're wrong in what they're telling me and that I'm wrong in thinking what I'm thinking.
Okay, so that's a little snippet from something that Tiffany said. You can watch the whole thing on her Winner's Circle episode. I believe it's the last one that she posted, where she was saying she does not believe that Kyle is racist, but she does believe that Kyle is prejudiced, and that's basically all that I was saying. And her guest was Azza from her season, and this is what she had to say.
Kyle, and at the same time I wonder, would you probably do this? Before she's made that comment that I don't know the timeline exactly right now for when he started coming up with time to unlearn ourselves from that. And whether we I look at people pointing fingers at Kyle, and at the same time I wonder, would you probably do the same thing if you were in his position? And we look at Big Brother, and we look for Big Brother to kind of find house guests and be so upset that these things happen, and how could this person do this?
I was really appreciative of both of those sentiments. I didn't know what Tiffany or Asa were gonna say, especially Tiffany because she's so outspoken. But what they said was exactly the way that I feel. I've seen a lot of black people, especially in my comments, in my recent posts, telling me I'm ashamed as a black man or woman that you are excusing this racist behavior of KK Kyle, right? Tiffany actually referenced that specific thing, and she was like, imagine he comes out to that. Instead of being somebody who's like, you know, I went into this house, I said things that I didn't realize how damaging they were, and now I'm committed to learning and growing and using my influence to change and be a better man and a better person and put out better things into the world and learn how to slowly remove those layers of those biases that I've had built up over the years, and instead be like, I'm gonna hide away from the world, and you know what? The people of color can be over here and I can be over here because we are in different worlds. And then I already see the divide happening just on my YouTube page, where now people are like, the cookout are racist, and now people are like, KK Kyle is racist. Like, this is not the move either way, one way or another. My feelings about when you call somebody out for something that you think that they did wrong is, what is the end goal? We've seen the cancel culture just take over the world.